So let's talk about health. I don't have enough time, and how this concept that I created called the art of balance might be exactly what you need for your lack of time problem. So, how many of y'all, if you could raise your hand and say, yes, I don't have enough time, that describes me. And do you ever feel like you're just trying to juggle too many things in your life? Or do you feel like your life is just too busy already? And yet you have a hard time saying no when somebody asks you, hey, can you do this one thing? It won't take very long. And you think, oh, I kind of can. So technically, I can if I weren't wasting my time. So I should go ahead and say yes. And then, I'll be more productive and I'll just hurry up and get it done. But you find yourself feeling squeezed. In fact, I like to call it, there's a line from The Lord of the Rings where the Frodo's uncle, oh my goodness, I just forgot his name. Sorry. But he says, I feel like jam spread across too much toast, or maybe it's butter spread across too much toast. And, he's stretched thin. And then here's the problem with feeling stretched thin. You find yourself getting irritable or snapping or even yelling at the ones that are around you, the ones that you care about. Okay. And then we just compound this problem. So then we start getting upset at ourselves for being irritable. We feel bad. We have to go back and apologize, or we say, listen, I just need everybody to calm down, need everything to stop. All because we have fallen into this trap of, I don't have enough time. And I'm going to say something very, very crazy about this. Could all of this be a symptom of you not being selfish enough with your time? In case you're watching the video, in case you don't see the video, I used air quotes around that. Not being selfish enough with your time. Because that's the problem, is what it boils down to, is that we all think that to say no, because I don't want to, because I'd like to keep a little bit of my time for myself, might be selfish. Did I say selfish or did I just say shellfish? Catch me. Selfish is what I meant to say. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about a concept I created called the art of balance. All right, so here's the problem that I see so many of my clients facing. They really, really deeply desire to not be busy all the time, not feel distracted, not feel like there's so many demands on their time and attention, not feel like um, their to-do list is always longer than their today list. But yet, one of the things that surprises them and surprises me sometimes until I've really dived into this problem was this. They find themselves still saying yes to too many things. Why do we do this? Why do we say yes to too many things? Well, typical reasons are number one, other people's expectations. Number two, our own unrealistic expectations about how much we can do, how much energy we're going to have for something, how much enthusiasm we're going to have for something in the future. I'm just laughing because there's so many times I have overestimated. It's like, oh, this sounds great. And then as I get closer to time, I'm like, this does not sound great. Why did I sign up for this? Unrealistic expectations about how long a project takes. Yes, you can get it done if everything goes perfectly and there are no lines at the grocery store and there are no unexpected problems that rise up at work and no kids get sick and all of these things in our life. We do not give ourselves buffer time for the unexpected. But here's a big one. And this is where I actually spend most of my time, sometimes working with my clients who are wanting more time in their lives. They have never taken the time to prioritize their yeses and their nos. That is the art of balance in a nutshell. So, in a nutshell, the art of balance is us actually taking the time, because it takes a minute or two to do this. It takes a few minutes, might take a few weeks. to think this through. But taking the time to step back and do what I call a 3-step process of evaluating our life through the lens of our purpose, our priorities, and our values. And once we get once we get super clear on those 3 pieces, our purpose, our priorities, and our values, then this little piece of saying yeses and nos, number 1, is super easy, way easier. We just say yes in order of importance. Okay. That is the art of balance in a nutshell. But at the end of the day, we're still thinking yes, but there's still not enough time. And that's why I have to say no. But what if that is not actually true? Okay. So I've been talking for about 5 minutes, and this is the point where you're either going to say April has lost her everlasting mind, or what if she's right? See, everybody knows there's not enough time. Everybody believes there's not enough time. We have abundant evidence with our eyes. When we look around, we're always trying to beat the clock. We're trying to beat the traffic. We're trying to get more done in less time. There was a popular talk years ago about time management. This is what time management is about. Why do we have to manage our time? Because there's not enough time. Right. Everybody knows this. In fact, this example of this talk was, and maybe you've seen it. They take this jar and they're like, try to do everything here. And they say, if you tried to put sand in and little rocks and big rocks, the jar is full. Unless you put the big rocks in first, which would be your priorities, then the little rocks, which would be your other things, then sand, then water. Then look how much you can get into this constraint that you have about your time. They're not wrong, but I think we're solving the problem the wrong way, because we're thinking that, yes, we're still constrained. So the important thing is to manage our time by doing the most important things first, and then making sure that we do all the other little things until it's all filled up. Okay. That's not quite what I'm saying. I'm saying, what if we believe this? The idea that there's not enough time is a myth that we've been operating under. What if there is always enough time? Now, this is a hard jump. This is a hard belief for anybody to pick up on. I agree, because I used to be there. I used to be on the other side of this equation until somebody said that to me. What if there's enough time? And I'm like, what if there's enough time? What would change about my life if I believe that there is enough time? So I'm going to try to prove it to you that we have enough time. So everybody knows that we have 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, 52 weeks in a year. We just don't know how many years we have, right? We assume we have more years. We assume we have less years. We don't know. In fact, one of the exercises that I like to sometimes take my clients through is there's a beautiful song that talks about live like you're dying. And it talks about all the different things and how this man's life changed when he faced for a second the fact that he might die in the very, very near future. But if you are a Christian, then there's a few things that have to kind of be true for the whole thing to work together, for it all to work together, or it all falls apart. So number 1 is the concept that where did our time come from? It was created by God. Where did we come from? We were created by God. So God created time. God created us. God gave us constraints on our time. God gave us constraints on our energy. And why did God create us? For a purpose. So when we're saying we don't have enough time for what? We don't have enough time to accomplish our purpose? Or we don't have enough time to do the work that's in front of us well? We don't have enough time to take care of our loved ones? We don't have enough time to this idea that we don't have enough time actually is distracting to us and has us focused on scarcity instead of abundance. And what it does is it keeps us trapped instead of having us solve the problem. See, I didn't become great at getting at my quote time management. Sorry, you guys, I struggle with that word a little bit. But let's just use it for a second. I didn't get great at my quote time management until I realized that all of my time was my own to manage. I took ownership over it. I didn't get great at having an abundance of time until I stopped believing the myth that there is not enough time. So why did I stop believing the myth that there is not enough time? Because I read this from the wisest man that ever lived. So in Ecclesiastes 3, sorry, I stuttered there. It says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. And then it goes on to say, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. It keeps on going on. A time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. And then it says, what profit hath he that works in that wherein he labors? I have seen the travail which God has given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also, he has set the world in their hearts so that no man can find out the work that God makes from the beginning to the end. This chapter is, I love this chapter. There are so many things, but if we just go back to the very first verse, to everything. How many things? Everything. Every one, every single, every all thing. There is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Where does our purpose come from? I think our purpose comes from God. So there is a time to every purpose under the heaven. So we believe that there's not enough time. And so then we try to do a juggling act and then we get exhausted and we drop the balls. And then we waste time picking up the balls. See how the belief that there is not enough time has us creating the actual reality that there is not enough time. You guys, I have done this more and more times than I can, care to admit to, where I rush and I waste time because I rushed it instead of relaxing and enjoying the time that I had towards something. So to everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. The art of balance is this, coming from the big picture, our purpose, our priorities, our values, using those three metrics to judge for ourselves, self-judge, not letting somebody else decide this for us, but us decide, and by judge, I mean evaluate. What is it? I have as much time as anybody else. I have the same 24 hours a day. I have the same 7 days a week. I have the same number of weeks in a year, 52 weeks in a year. I don't know how many years I have. What am I going to give my time, my energy, my attention to? And that is the next piece. There are seasons. There is a season. So we cannot do all the things all the time, all at the same time. But we can do what's important. What's important to whom? What's important to us? You hear that? What's important to whom? What's important to us? We can do what's important to us in this moment. So there are so many principles I want to go into here. And I started to say, but there's not enough time. There's an example. No, I don't want to make this podcast excessively long. I do not want to make this excessively long. So I want to keep it simple. What if? What if you just tried on the belief that there is enough time? And what if that 24 hours a day constraint, boundary that has been set upon us by the creator of the universe, who knows a thing or two about what he created because he made them? Sorry. I watch a lot of commercials about Allstate. Or State Farm or something. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. He knows a thing or two because he's made a thing or two. So if we sign up for this notion that God is an infinite loving kindness being that is not out to punish us, but created us on purpose for a purpose, and desires that we live out that purpose, then the perceived limits on our time are actually not to our detriment, but for our benefit. I think at any time that I'm tempted to think that there's not enough time, I think about this friend that I have, and we're not very close. It's not like we talk a lot, but when we do, oh, she just blesses my heart every single bit. But she has serious, what I would consider serious, actual constraints on her time because she is in the position where she is in a wheelchair. And she writes beautiful, encouraging posts about life and about faith. And I think so many times, and it takes her so much more time to do every single aspect in her life than it does me. And I used to use that against myself. And then I realized, wait, no, that is how we all are using time against ourselves. I should work more. I should do better. I should accomplish more because I have these benefits. And we're comparing ourselves, and when we do that, we stop giving credit to our creator, and we stop looking at the reasons why he has put perceived advantages and perceived constraints, disadvantages in our lives. And when we look at it through that lens, it actually becomes easier to discern what actually is our purpose. So, what if the reason your time is constrained is not so that you will feel frustrated, not so you'll be defeated, but so that you will develop some skills that will benefit your life going forward? I might have used this before as an example, but one of the things that I realized that I really had to lean into and thank God for. So when I went to college, I had to pay my own way. My parents helped me as much as they could, but I'm the oldest of 9 kids. There's only so much help they can give each of their kids, especially when it was a one income family. And so when I went to college, I knew that I was signing up for this idea of, listen, you're going to have to pay your way. And my college did not accept, you couldn't get not scholarships. You couldn't get grants or loans. At least I wasn't aware that you could get a loan. Those are way more popular. I went to school back in the old days, y'all. So I didn't go into debt, but I worked 40 hours a week to put myself through college. And I remember thinking, number one, back when I was in college, I will never be this busy again. I will never run myself this is exhausted again. This is for a season and a season only. And I'm going to push through this for 4 years, for no more. Let's get it done. And I can do this. I can only do it for a short time. And I am not going to allow my life I'm never going to sign up for this much busyness, if at all possible. Unless God, for some reason, whatever. But I remember being completely grateful that God had given me the ability to book knowledge, learn, study very, very quickly, and be able to maintain good grades in the very small amount of time that I had left in which to do homework and studying. And I did have to let go of some of my perfectionism of desiring, the really, really high grades. I didn't get to be valedictorian. So that's still a little irksome. You guys just being honest here. But I saw that even in that time, there was a way to appreciate that God had given me some benefits I could use to my advantage to fulfill the purpose that He'd given me. And so when we see time as to everything, there's a season, and then we flat out say, I just don't see how all of this can be done. Number one, question, does all of it need to be done at all? And two, does it need to be done in this season? And I truly believe that is something that you truly desire, that there's a way of finding the time for it. And we lack imagination. We lack creativity in finding that. Excuse me. I bumped my microphone. But if we believed there is enough time, then instead of us worried about managing our time better and getting frustrated and putting a big burden on ourselves and being distracted because we're trying to do too many things all at the same time, what if we did the exact opposite? We slowed down. We found out what was most important. And then we did those things first and let go of some of the other things. So this has changed my life more than I can even express. One of the ways it changed my life, and I just realized this as I was getting ready to do this episode about the art of balance, I was scrolling through Facebook, and I'm a part of a group, and there was a woman that was talking about, she's trying to update her style. And I realized I really have a strong sense of my own personal style, and I have a wardrobe that I enjoy wearing, all because if you trace it back piece by piece by piece, there's a time when I believed I did not have enough time. And to solve my time problem, I minimized my life. And in minimizing my life, I minimized my wardrobe. And in minimizing my wardrobe, I found my own style. And in owning fewer but better things, I started dressing better. I started carrying myself better. And I started having more confidence. And then I created more confidence in the way I dress and my own style. And it cracked me up how this little piece of there are actual strategies that we can do to create more time in our life. but not while we're believing there isn't enough time. But when we believe that, well, certainly there has to be enough time, we just need to create more of it. We need to buy back more of it. We need to redeem. We need to redeem back some of our time, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Redeem your time back. Redeem your time back. So, some of my favorite ways that I have redeemed my time back is getting really clear on my purpose, my priorities, my values. Okay. That makes it really easy for me to say yeses and nos quickly and confidently. Huge. That piece right there. Secondly, then simplifying my environment, streamlining, simplifying. So that looks like minimalism. That looks like owning fewer things, having fewer things to take care of, and having a more streamlined existence. And then streamlining processes that support me in life, like meal planning, paying the bills. I started this process about 10 years ago. And if you are just starting to start this process of, I need more time, I desperately need more time, let me give you some encouragement. I have an abundance of time just because I believe there is a way. There was a way to create more time. And then I started believing that there's always enough time. It's just a matter of finding out what's important to us. All right. I hope this has helped. But I think that some of you are probably saying, it all sounds fine and good, but where do I start? If that is you, what I want to offer you is this. I'm thinking about creating an Art of Balance workshop. So in this workshop, what I would do is I am going to take a small number. This is going to be a very small, intimate group. And we're going to walk you through this piece by piece, getting clarity around your purpose. And when I say purpose, I mean purpose for this season. That's a whole nother topic on a podcast about purpose for a season or a lifetime. Getting clear about your priorities, learning how to schedule your priorities first so that they are never hurried, they are never rushed. You're never, quote, losing time because you're having to make up ground because you fell behind. And then learning how to make your yeses and nos more confident and more quickly by knowing your values. So this is going to be kind of a hands-on back and forth workshop where we're going to go deeper in this topic about having the art of balance so that at the end of the day, you do not feel like you are a person who is juggling all the things. You're not trying to juggle, raising your kids, having a great marriage, running a successful business, growing your business, making time for your friends or your ministry or your community, and staying up till 11 o'clock trying to get those last things done, coming home late, because you were trying to get 2 more things checked off your to-do list. So that one's my husband. He's always coming home late because he's trying to get a couple more things checked off his to-do list. And I'm the one that's staying up late, baking cupcakes because I overpromised. The art of balance so that you can literally relax and start enjoying your days. And it's got to be a podcast for another time. So many of us are getting our sense of self-worth from our level of productivity. That's going to stop. That needs to stop because that is in the way of being confident. So if you are a person who feels like there are too many distractions on your life for you to even focus on what's important, and you'd be interested in this workshop called The Art of Balance, then leave me a message in the comments below or send me a direct message on in Facebook. And I'll make sure that I get those details to you. It's going to be happening rather soon. If you are ready, my goal in this, think about it this way, the art of balance at the end of the day, in the typical person's life, it should probably create 10 extra hours of free time a week for you to decide what you're going to do with it. Okay. We are wearing our busyness as a badge of honor. And I think that needs to stop. I think that we are missing out on so many benefits and so many blessings in our life because we're starting to get a little addicted to busyness. And so if you are intrigued or curious, or you just want help and you're ready to buy into the notion that instead of there's not enough time, to buy into the notion that there is always enough time. There is time for every purpose under the heavens, and to everything there is a season. If you are ready to buy into that, if you are ready to experience a life where you feel balanced, not because you have the perfect calendar and the perfect schedule, but because you know that you are giving your time to what matters most to you in your life, then this is the class for you. All right. All right. But I hope that this has helped. I look forward to hearing your feedback and you telling me if you had, say, an extra 10 hours a week. Say you had an extra, okay, let's make it simple. If you had an extra hour a day, what would you do with your time? Let's hear what your answer is to that. Okay. Oh, and if you would take the time, see what I did there? To leave me a rating and a review on the podcast or on YouTube, wherever you watch this, that would be so helpful for other people to be able to find this podcast. And I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right. Bye-bye for now.